everybody, it's finally Christmas, and what a strange year it has been with lockdowns and closed shops and pubs and restaurants. But not to worry, we can still celebrate in great style in our own homes in the comfort of our Christmas trees and warmth. And one of the best ways for me to spend Christmas Eve is to eat something really nice and homemade, and to settle down and watch a great Christmas movie, one maybe that we haven't seen before. So why not join me as I make some retro rustic chocolate chip cookies and settle down and watch a Christmas movie. So for this recipe, you'll need 150 grams of unsalted butter, 80 grams of light brown muscovado sugar, 80 grams of granulated sugar, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, 1 large egg, 225 grams of plain flour, a half a teaspoon of bicarbonate of soda, along with a quarter of a teaspoon of salt. And finally, last but not least, 200 grams of really good quality chocolate. So we're going to start out by, first of all, preparing some greaseproof paper. So we're going to line 2 baking sheets with non-stick baking paper, and we're going to also heat our oven to 190 degrees Celsius. Gas mark 5. So we're going to cut our lining paper to fit the sheet. Mine was a little bit big, but I just folded it over to shape it. And then I duplicated it with another sheet and cut it down, because we're going to be using 2 baking tins. Smoothen that out over the sheets so it fits perfectly. Next, we're going to put 150 grams of softened unsalted butter. I use Stork, and on the back you've got this little gauge of the sizes. So we're going to find 150 grams. It's really handy that they do that. You can obviously melt this butter as well and mix it in. And we're going to add that to a mixing bowl. And add to it 80 grams of light brown muscovado sugar. I use this old measuring cup. It works a treat, even though it's been through the wars. And we're going to add to that 80 grams of granulated sugar into a bowl. And add it with the sugar and the butter. And we're now going to start beating it together to form a nice creamy consistency. Now I don't have an electric mixer, so I had to do it all by hand. So I will speed it up slightly so you can see how I got on with that. Next, we're going to beat in 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. I'm going to add to that 1 large egg. And then we're going to beat that together so it is nice and creamy. And again, it does take a while to get that nice creamy consistency. And I speeded it up a little bit. It'd be so much easier if I had an electric mixer. Next, I'm going to sift in 225 grams of plain flour along with a half a teaspoon of bicarbonate of soda and a quarter of teaspoon of salt into the mix. And I'm now going to mix it all together with that wooden spoon. And this is when we start to get our dough-like consistency. It's quite therapeutic baking as well. It makes you very present in the moment. Now we're going to do the nice bit, which is to look at our chocolate. So we need 200 grams of chocolate chips. So I'm going to open this 200 gram dairy milk bar from Cadbury. And we're going to break up that chocolate into little tiny pieces to add to our dough mixture. So break that chocolate up, break it up. It comes apart very easily in chunks. And there's something very strangely satisfying about breaking it up into chunks. I just love how the chocolate clicks when you break it apart. Click, click, click. It's very hard not to start eating it. I was very tempted, but I managed to restrain myself. Next, we're going to break it down into smaller pieces. I've just used a knife here. But again, we just want small little chunks that we can put to the dough mixture. And using the knife, I'm just cutting it down a little more until we have a lot of really nice small pieces of chocolate. And we will dip that straight into the dough mixture. In it goes. And next, we're going to fold that in a nice mix to ensure all that lovely chocolate pieces go inside of the dough in a nice even fashion. Next, I'm going to use a teaspoon to mix small scoops of the mixture well apart on the baking trays. Now you can of course add some ice and sugar or flour and roll it out and use a cookie cutter, but I've used the old-fashioned way, which is just using the teaspoon. You can get all manner of fantastic Christmas shapes, from trees to snowmen to Santa Claus to baubles. Our oven at this time should be starting to heat up really nicely, ready to take in the mixture. And we're going to pop that in the oven. And we're going to bake for 8 to 10 minutes until the cookies are light brown on the edges and still slightly soft in the center if you press them in. Afterwards, I'm going to take them out and put them onto a cooling rack. I'm going to leave them there for a couple of minutes then